to shut up. The sun's shining on the screen. I might even have to put a bloody light on because I can't fucking see a thing. Hey guys, good afternoon everybody. Good evening to everybody. Welcome back to the channel, United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Hope you've all had a fantastic weekend. Hope you had a good day. Hope you had a good week. Hope you're all having a good Sunday evening so far. I hope you're all looking forward to another brand new week in May 2024 this year. First of all, do me a massive favour, mate. Hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Share the video, hit the tweet button, hit the retweet button. Remember to always put the notification bell on at all times to receive dedicated content right throughout the rest of this year in 2024 on United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. We've got brand new Fortnite, Rocket League, EAFC, Call of Duty, Fall Guys. We've got the summer transfer window covered this season as well. Once the football season comes to a conclusion and after all the European and domestic league seasons are over, we'll be covering Europe, we'll be covering the EFL, and we will also be covering the Premier League news and transfer news once the summer transfer window opens. And so the curtain comes down on another Premier League season. And as you can tell by my reaction, by my body language, and by my lack of enthusiasm, Brighton 0, Manchester United 2, despite the win on the final day of this Premier League season for the 23-24 season. Unfortunately, Manchester United will not be competing in European football next season for the first time in over 10 years. The last time this happened was under David Moyes, and look where that managerial career went. Once the failure to secure United any chance of European football, he ended up getting the sack for a dismal 9 months in charge of Manchester United Football Club. And 10 years further on, we are finding ourselves in another David Moyes situation where we aren't playing European football next season, and which has been, quite frankly, a pathetic, embarrassing and shocking down tools of a Premier League season by the players of Manchester United Football Club, who have massively thrown everyone under the bus this season. And despite the win today, Manchester United had too little, too late to do anything to rescue any chance of securing European football next season. It just goes to show where the season has been all year long, that Man United have been nowhere near the races. Man United have been nowhere near the level that we were expecting them to be. And, you know, we might have won today and we've got 3 points on the final day of the season, but that doesn't matter really. We couldn't bet a Newcastle's result, and Newcastle have obviously won 4-2 at Brentford this evening on their final game of the Premier League season as well. So Manchester United now find themselves in, quite frankly, an embarrassing position that we have no European football, and you wouldn't think things could get any worse, but today has immensely answered 3 massive questions that I had asked on the talk through and on the live stream in the early hours of Friday morning, that 3 massive questions were going to be asked of Manchester United depending on the result on this Sunday evening, where question number 1, will Erik ten Hag still be our manager? Question number 2, will Manchester United get European football? And question number 3, what is going to happen now to our summer transfer window? Well, all 3 questions have been answered for all of you Man United fans and supporters on the Sunday evening, is that Erik ten Hag will no longer be the Manchester United manager. Number 2, Manchester United will not be in Europe next season. We have finished 8th in our lowest ever Premier League finish ever in the club's history, as well as English football history, and as well as Premier League history. And number 3, don't expect Manchester United's summer transfer window to be anywhere near what we are being told or what we are being expected to happen, because the money that the club has now lost out on is going to be absolutely huge. And the Glazers aren't going to like it. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Sir Dave Brailsford, Jason Wilcox, the new Man City CEO that is coming into the club in the summer as well. That is going to massively piss everybody off behind the scenes tonight, because Man United have got no European income, and that only results in one thing and one thing only, is that manager, Erik ten Hag, will be dismissed at the end of the season. And we aren't in Europe, and we don't deserve to be. We have been a joke. We have been a complete pantomime. We have been a complete circus. We deserve to be in this position today that we find ourselves in. I've got no sympathy for the club. I've got no sympathy for the players, and I've got no sympathy for the ownership, and I've got no sympathy for the manager. This is Manchester United's fault that we find ourselves as a fan base and supporters. We find ourselves in a position tonight that we can never have imagined would have ever happened to this club's history. And record after record that we have broken every single week. Man United have now broken even more records after today. That we've won our final game of the season. We knew what we had to do. We had to get the win and hope for a Newcastle collapse. But in the end, we find ourselves in a position that we didn't even dream would happen, is that we aren't going to be in Europe, and we don't deserve to be anywhere near Europe's elite, I'm afraid. I think it's the harsh reality. It's the harsh truth of where we find ourselves today. And Man United need a massive wake-up call. Man United need a massive reality check that this season has been completely and utterly underwhelming by all standards of the club from top to bottom. This season has been a car crash, and our Premier League campaign has been an absolute misery. Only getting to 60 points is basically Brighton level. And unfortunately today, even though we have beat Brighton 2-0 through, somehow scoring 2 goals that we probably didn't deserve in the end because the performance was pathetic as usual, we couldn't really do anything. We were really hoping for a Newcastle slip-up. And I think we all knew Newcastle were going to go and get a result against Brentford, and which they have done. Man United knew the job that they had to do was to go to the Amex, get 3 points and get a final win on the last day of the Premier League season and hope for a miracle. And unfortunately, that miracle has not been able to be produced because United have had too much to do. United were basically praying for a Brentford result today, and unfortunately today we've basically relied on Brentford. And unfortunately, even though we somehow got the job done in the second half, I feel sorry for the fans. I feel sorry for the supporters. I feel sorry for everyone connected to Manchester United Football Club right now. It is a massive, massive, embarrassing position right now to find all of ourselves where we are today. We don't deserve any remorse. We don't deserve any sympathy. We are going to get a lot of banter, and that'll be right throughout the summer. Next season, we will get it again, because where are we going to be? There is going to be no midweek football. All we're going to have is Premier League, FA Cup and Carabao Cup. And when you think things couldn't get any worse, you're then going to have the new EAFC 25 game. And when you do your career mode, it's going to be an absolute travesty to not see this club in any European competition next season. And I see a lot of people saying this might benefit Manchester United not being in Europe next season. This might do Manchester United the world of good of taking a break and rebuilding the team and rebuilding the current squad. But I think now we are going to see a massive, massive problem that the fans and supporters will let out their anger. They will let their frustration out, and they've got every right to do it. And I applaud people to go up and turn up to Old Trafford right now and absolute protest the hell outside of Old Trafford, because I'm absolutely gobsmacked how we are not in Europe. But I can tell why we're not, because the results of the season have simply not been good enough. We've dropped too many points from winning positions that we were basically in cruise control. We've gone, our home this season has been a complete nightmare. And our away record has been even worse against the top 6, where we have taken 1 point from all of the other top 6 clubs in the Premier League. And our home form, where you lose to teams like Palace and Fulham and Bournemouth, and you can't beat Burnley. It says quite a lot where this football club is. And the nightmare situation that we find ourselves tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is this football club has massively let everyone down, and they should be absolutely ashamed of the diabolical season it has been for this whole Premier League campaign, where Manchester United never got going. It was basically backs against the wall from match day 1. And we find ourselves on match day 38 with the utter humiliation of not seeing this once great football club competing in Europe. And we don't deserve to be. we were needing miracles to happen on today, and it simply hasn't happened. And we've won the game, we've got the job done, we've got the 3 points, but the whole atmosphere now, I think, is going to turn absolutely toxic, in which was Roberto De Zerbi's final home game as Brighton and Hove Albion's manager, where, as we talked on the preview, maybe that was the right thing for Brighton to do, to announce the manager's departure yesterday. But obviously, I don't think that really helped the Brighton performance. I thought Brighton were very, very, very poor. I think their best player in their team by a mile at the moment is probably João Pedro. Obviously, had a few goal-scoring opportunities to put past Onana and didn't take them. But that was really Brighton's threat all day, and that was really the biggest problem that Manchester United had to deal with in reality. But I did not see a lot from that Brighton team that I thought were going to cause Man United problems. But Man United, in the end, I don't know how we managed to score 2 goals in the second half, because that first half performance was nothing more than, quite frankly, shocking. I could not believe the standards had slipped once again from a positive result against Newcastle midweek to another embarrassing, piss-poor first half performance. Was absolutely incredible how you can play so well against Newcastle midweek and then you take the first half against Brighton and you find yourselves on the back foot once again. It's just a very, very, very embarrassing position to be in as a Man United fan right now. And I think the situation now that we have got ourselves in is not going to benefit anyone. I think the fans and the supporters deserve a lot more than this. I feel sorry for them. I feel sorry for us. I don't feel sorry for the club, though. I've got no sympathy from anyone at that club, because everyone at that football club is a fucking problem. And I think tonight is the final nail in Erik ten Hag's coffin. I think a decision will have to be made now. Will it be made before the FA Cup final? I'm not 100% sure. Or will it be done after the FA Cup, where we could still mathematically win the FA Cup and get into the Europa League? But it's not really going to matter, because realistically, are we going to beat Manchester City the way we are playing? No, we're not. Man City, again, have won the Premier League title against West Ham, winning 3-1 at the Etihad tonight. That is 4 Premier League titles in a row now under Pep Guardiola, their 8th Premier League title. They're only 5 away from 13 Premier League titles domestically. And it shows that Man United have got no chance winning that FA Cup. And I think by far today, that first half performance was probably one of the worst first half performances I have seen all fucking season. It was quite frankly shocking to see how we've taken a massive positive result in midweek to going back to playing bang average first half football. And I see people absolutely commending how great Man United were in that first half. We were not great. We were absolutely at 6s and 7s. Brighton were dominating that Manchester United team with the amount of opportunities and chances that they were creating on the United goal. Man United could not cope. They couldn't get out. Brighton were creating all the major problems, and Man United nearly didn't deal with them. I mean, they had I think Webster had a shot off the line from Sandro Martinez. Mitoma, I think, had a chance as well. I think João Pedro had an absolute sitter that he absolutely missed by a mile, that could have put Brighton in the lead and really should have got in the lead, because I think in the end, if Brighton would have took their chances, we would have lost that game. I don't want Roberto De Zerbi anywhere near this club, because that is 1 win in the last 10 Premier League games as Brighton manager. I do not want Roberto De Zerbi anywhere near this football club. Yes, it would be better than having Gareth Southgate, but in the end, the results businesses do not lie. 1 win in their last 10 for Brighton shows a lot where Roberto De Zerbi has gone massively, massively wrong at Brighton, and he absolutely deserves to have to leave the club, because the results business has not shown that Brighton have been a commendable football club. They have been absolutely embarrassing for their last 10 games, and I don't want Zidane. I do not think any of them will want the United job, knowing the uncertainty from the top to the bottom of the club, where there's now going to be a lack of investment in the summer, because this is going to affect a lot of things not being in Europe. I think a lot of the big players are going to want out now, because Man United are not going to be a European side. I think we are going to have to massively now sell half this squad to rebuild the team, which United are going to do anyway. But Man United aren't in Europe, and that is the story of today's tale, that we aren't in Europe, and it is an absolute massive, massive kick in the teeth. I mean, when this happened under David Moyes way back in 2014, when he replaced the great Sir Alex Ferguson, and we finished 7th under his first campaign as manager, And he ended up getting the sack 9 months later. I think in the end, the writing was on the wall from David Moyes as soon as he walked through the door. It was a really, really bad, pathetic appointment. What he did for Everton, you can't do for a Manchester United. You can't take your Everton form and go and try and manage a club like Man United that are way above Everton's level. And David Moyes absolutely ripped this club's unity and diversity completely apart. There was no force or fight left in this club as soon as David Moyes walked through the door. And 9 months later, he was sacked. We brought Ryan Giggs in for interim charge to get us till the end of the season. And now today, we are in exactly the same situation where we are probably now going to have to sack Erik ten Hag because the club are not going to like that Man United are not in Europe, because that is going to affect the pockets of the owners and the club massively for next season. That is going to cost the club a lot of revenue. But I've got no sympathy for the people at the top of this club. Not enough has been done to rescue the situation we've been in. A lot of the bullshit that we've heard all summer long last year and in January, where United were trying to get players in to help this club get into Europe next season, have basically, we've been fed to the wolves. We've basically been told that Man United have got no money, and we are using all this bollocks about financial fair play and sell to buy bullshit to get away with our incompetence. And today, Man United have been caught out. They've been absolutely caught out of this. They've been absolutely exposed for the bullshit. They've been exposed for their lies, and they've been exposed for their crap that they continue to use as a PR machine on every social media account that Manchester United have got. They have absolutely shown today that the bullshit and the lies that they come out with is not liable. Because what I mean by that is Man United can't use that to cover up this now. And Man United are going to have to come out of a statement intent and fucking change something up, because for me, this is unacceptable. And a lot of people say, why are you not talking about the game? Because the tale of the game is we've won 2-0. It wasn't great. It wasn't fantastic. But in the end, we got the 2 goals to get us the 3 points we needed. But it's not mattered, is it? It's not really done anything to turn the situation around where, you know, United needed something to happen in their favour, and it hasn't. But we rely on others around us to do the job for us. And in the end, that isn't good enough. Man United do not do their job when the going gets tough. Manchester United do not do enough to get this club or the fans or supporters any hope of positivity or confidence next season. And I think now it is massively sickening to the stomach that Manchester United have got themselves in a right pickle now. We're more pickle than pickles in a jar at Christmas. It is utterly shocking to find ourselves on this Sunday evening where you're meant to have a great weekend, and I can't take any positivity out of this result. I can't take any boost of confidence or morale to into on last game, which is again the FA Cup final next Saturday. How am I meant to feel positive where my club, the fans club, the supporters club, are not going to be contesting in a European competition for the first time in 10 years? It's just not fair. It's not acceptable. And I think for me, the telltale lines that Man United gave up was in January, when Ten Hag was desperately crying out for a centre-back. He was crying out for a striker. Man United said no. And when we were promised that Manchester United were going to make signings in January, even Fabrizio Romano said Manchester United will be making signings in January 2024. Again, we were lied to. We were absolutely lied to. We were told that Man United would recruit. We were told Man United would bring players in to improve the squad, because Erik ten Hag had a major panic attack about the amount of injuries he had at this club, where we were told by Wayne Rooney and Graham Souness that half these players have been faking their injuries, which has been quite true. These players have basically been faking all this crap of they're injured here, they're injured there, they're injured this, they've injured that. We've been lied to by the players as well, and they have got to take a massive chunk of responsibility for today's outcome of today's win, that it's got Man United nowhere. We've basically hit a fucking brick wall. We've got into a car, we've got brake failure, and we've hit a brick wall, and the DVLA are not going to help you. They're not going to. They can't cover it on the insurance in the car that you've damaged. You're going to have to rebuild from scratch. and basically turn into the car of your dreams again that you've basically wrecked because of your incompetence. And that is Man United in a nutshell. The incompetence of this club is absolutely, quite frankly, unbelievable, because it's the bullshit that catches Man United out every single time. It's the bullshit. It's the lies. It's the crap that we get fed to on a daily fucking basis that Man United have got this going on. Man United have got that going on. This isn't acceptable. This is a disgrace on all standards of big standards that this club have continued to say. We've got big standards. We've got high standards at this club. Well, quite clearly, today has been a breath of fresh air that the standards at this club are again on the floor because of this season. One good season under Erik ten Hag has been absolutely destroyed by season 2 because of the board, because of the owners, and because of lack of recruitment, the lack of investment, but also down to the manager who has got clearly no idea what he's fucking doing at this club. Again today, where you see a team sheet that we are still sticking to the same team that played against Newcastle. Again, there was telltale signs of again today when you are playing a false 9 with Bruno Fernandes acting as the false 9 striker. That clearly is not going to work in Erik ten Hag's favour, and quite clearly something had to change in the second half, because I think if subs weren't made at that point, we would have found ourselves only getting a point out of today's game. And that, again, is down to Erik ten Hag's failure of being able to recognise he's got weaknesses and vulnerability as a manager, that he's making very, very stupid decisions and not benefiting Manchester United in the long term. And again today, that says quite a lot that Erik ten Hag has clearly got no balls, he's got no guts, and he's got no desire to turn this fucking mess around. I've got no sympathy for Erik ten Hag here. This season is on him because he's clearly backed players with pure favouritism into the corner or into the wall. He's used players that are simply not up to the level that are at this club that need to be got rid of. And they are also part of the problem this season. But also where a manager has basically had two hands tied behind his back, should have gone to the owners, should have gone to the board and demanded signings. And that clearly is showing a lack of guts to stand up for his rights and stand up for the things he feels for. If I was the manager of this club, I would be walking into that boardroom every day in January and demanding, I want this player, this player, and this player, and you've got to give me it, because if you don't, I am going to call this out and make it well known that your incompetence is fucking up Manchester United's any chance of being a top flight football club again. Because at the moment, if we can't compete in Europe, then how the fuck are we going to compete next season? Next season could be even worse. Because, yeah, we might get a rest now in midweek where we've got no European football. And, you know, that might benefit us. I'm not 110% sure how this is going to go. But when there is no European football at Old Trafford and the Old Trafford lights, and we are not playing away in Europe against some bang average mid-table European team, it takes a whole excitement and a whole admiration away from any potential success next season. I can't see this benefiting us long term. I really, really can't. I think this, for me now, sums up how bad a football club that we actually are. And I think for me, this now sums up who we are, who we've become, who we are today. This is a football club that has fallen from grace, a club that was massively the best team in English football history, is no longer that, because we can't compete now. We aren't a big football club. No one fears us. No one comes to Old Trafford expecting to get spanked. And when they come to Old Trafford now, they know they can beat Manchester United. They know they can get a result. And they also know that anything is possible when you play against this bang average United team. And we are a bang average team. We are absolutely bang average. We can't compete with the top six. We are competing with likes of Brighton and West Ham now and Bournemouth. That, I think, for me, is the level that we are going to slowly but surely decline to come to. We are slowly but surely declining to that level of football that those three teams produce. And no disrespect to West Ham, Brighton, or AFC Bournemouth, but Man United are becoming their level, that those clubs are fighting for, you know, supremacy of the mid-table battle. And we are turning into that mid-table team. And unfortunately, today has been a big, you know, sums up Man United as a whole, that we are just a joke of a football club on and off the pitch. We are shocking beyond belief. We are pathetic beyond belief. We are embarrassing beyond belief. And in the end, we deserve today. We absolutely deserve it. but the fans don't and the supporters don't. And those are the ones I feel sorry for most, because we give up all our time, all our energy, all our money, all our effort, our travelling, our hospitality. We give up so much for this football club to make dreams come true of, backing United on the road and backing United at Old Trafford at home as well. And we've basically had it chucked back in our face. We've had this massively chucked back in our face. And it's down to the players, because let's be honest, like the amount of problems and the amount of excuses that those players have come up with, that the amount of injuries or potential fake injuries they've had have basically declined Man United's season. I don't know how those players can sit there and go out and perform in a United shirt where we've basically been lied to by half this squad. And for me, they should never, ever be playing for this football club again. If you've got players that have lied to the manager and the coaches, as well as the medical staff, and you've got players that are lying to the fans and supporters, how can they go out there and say that they're truly, fully committed to Manchester United Football Club if they have been faking injuries to try and get more time off during an important season where we are expected to go again? We are expected to push on from what we achieved in season 1 under Erik ten Hag, where we are expected to apparently get in a title race where we were nowhere near ready for a title race. This club's summer transfer of last year summed up how bad it was. Signing players like Rasmus, Højlund and Sofian Amrabat and Bandia, so many players that we signed weren't enough. And again, that is down to the club's hierarchy and the lack of recruitment or investment in this team, where Ten Hag was crying out for Harry Kane. He was crying out for Frimpong and Gakpo and Felix. I mean, Frankie de Jong. He has been chasing player after player that he was basically promised Man United were going to get when he sat down and signed that contract becoming our new manager. Erik ten Hag should have been given every player on that list that he wanted, because he knew the standards and the style of football that he wanted to see from his players. He's not been able to produce any of that because the players he wanted here are not here at this club. But Man United knew this. Man United knew they weren't going to keep promises. That, again, is lying to the manager behind his back. That is saying to you, you ain't the boss of us. You don't tell us what to do. We will tell you what you can have. We can tell you who you're not going to get. We will tell you who we've got to keep. We will tell you who we're going to sign and who we're not going to sign. You can't come into our office and tell me who you want and that you don't want, because we are the ones with the money in our pockets who we are trying to absolutely rip the life and sight of this football club, where we've got a stadium in Old Trafford that is falling to bits and falling to pieces. We need a state-of-the-art stadium. We need a state-of-the-art training facility. And Man United are penny pinching all the time. We are basically, slowly but surely for me, we are turning into a National League club, because if you look at the standards of their grounds and you look at the standards of their training facilities, we are slowly but surely going to become that. And I've got no disrespect to any of the National League, North, South, or the Premier clubs. No disrespect. But if you look at Manchester United compared to them, we are on another level. But in the end, when Man United have been left to rot by the Glazers, this is the consequences of your demise, of letting this club fall to pieces over the last 10 fucking years. And it's not fair. It's really, really not fair, because we aren't going to get in the title race next season. Forget that happening. We ain't going to be in Europe, so forget any European football at all. We are basically next season going to have to try and get top 4, win the FA Cup, and then win the Carabao Cup. That is the only hope we have got next season, is by scraping top 4 and winning a trophy. And that, for me, is going to be it. Because if people think we are going to win the title, fucking forget that happening. And even Lee says in the chat, seeing wages there on is madness. Exactly. And that is also going to have to stop now. And that will stop, because now we're not in Europe. Those players are going to have to take a massive, massive pay cut. Because we're not in Europe and because they have fucked up, those players don't realise, oh shit, the wages we are on, we are now going to have to be reduced massively because we aren't in Europe. That's on the players. That is their responsibility. And if they kick up a fuss about it, or start throwing their toys out the pram, or start whinging and whining and crying about it, then get the fuck out, because you don't deserve to be on those wages. You don't deserve to be getting that pay, because you are fucked up this season. And you can't get rid of these players because huge wages they're on, they won't budge. Anthony's on £250,000 a week. Exactly that. 25% cut is what they're taking. Exactly. I think it might be more than that. They might have to take a 50% pay cut, because if they're not in Europe at all, which they're not, it might be more than 25%. It may be 40, 45, 50%, because United have screwed up. United, I don't think Man United realise how messed up they've actually made themselves look. And that this week is going to be a telltale sign of, oh shit, what the fuck have we done? What have we done? Why didn't we listen to the manager? Why didn't we back him with the players that he wanted? Why didn't we get them? It's because you're using financial fair play, which is complete bullshit and is a complete myth. And if you sell to buy that, we've got to sell these players to bring players in. Fucking bullshit. And if people tell me that, after today, Man United are going to turn a corner and see a state-of-the-art transfer window, absolutely forget that from happening. Absolutely forget it. If you think the owners and the board and Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Sir Dave Brailsford are going to turn this around with Dan Ashworth and Jason Wilcox there and the CEO for Man City, if you honestly think that they are going to turn this around, I would keep dreaming. Absolutely keep dreaming. Because so far, I have seen nothing since they've come in from this club. I have seen absolutely nothing that is going to convince me that they're going to come in and turn this around. And I've seen they're in for Ivan Toney. Yeah, apparently we've been linked with Ivan Toney, where we were told that we were going to go for an experienced striker. So basically, we're going for the inexperience again. And I think if you go for Ivan Toney and Højlund, could you imagine if both of them pick up injuries in the summer, or they pick up injuries on international duty in the Euros? Could you imagine how buggered Man United would be then? We would be absolutely screwed. We have screwed up today. Yes, we've won. Yes, we've got the points. And yes, we've got the result. But what has it done? It has created even more mess, because we are facing a season without European football. And fans need to boycott. Why would they want to go and watch that crap bunch of pre-Maradonas? Exactly. Absolutely agree with Lee in the chat. And since he's joined this community channel, he's been absolutely bang on to point, Lee in the chat. He's an absolute tell you how it is. And that is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that myself. And that is what it's about. It's about fan view and fan opinion. Like I said, this channel was never about me. It's about all of you amazing people on the community that I trust and I believe and I get on with, every single one of you. There's not one person I dislike on this community in this channel. But it's Man United's mess, unfortunately, that they are now going to have to fix. Erik ten Hag, question number 2 I asked, will not be manager of this club next season. He will not be the manager of this club. He will be gone. He will be getting the sack. We will be on manager number 7 in 11 years. Imagine if someone had told you that since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, who would have told you that Man United would be on manager number 7 in 11 years? If someone would have told me that, I would not have believed you, because I honestly thought there would still be stability. I honestly thought there would be a standard that we would keep producing under the new managers. And I thought we would have a world-class elite squad that could go again and again and again and again. We aren't on that level. We aren't Man City. And Ajax, he will get 10 million on top of that. Exactly. If they sack Erik ten Hag, we've got to give him 10 million. And apparently, we've got Graham Potter on that list, Gareth Southgate, Thomas Tuchel, Roberto De Zerbi. We've got so many managers on the list that we want, but half the managers they don't see, which is a relief because we see that ourselves. But I can't imagine what Erik ten Hag must be thinking right now. He's probably thinking, how the fuck has this happened in season 2? Well, Erik ten Hag is to blame for the results. He's got to get these players playing and fighting for the shirt and the badge and playing for the supporters and the fans on a weekly basis. But he's had no balls. He's had no guts to change his team up. He's clearly got favouritism, like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did and Ralph Rangnick. See, Sir Alex Ferguson said Villa would get in top 4. They laughed at him. Some manager. Exactly. Sir Alex Ferguson was right. He said Villa would get top 4 in the Prem one day, and everybody laughed at him. Look where Aston Villa are in Champions League football next season. Where are Man United? Nowhere near European football whatsoever. So yeah, back to the Erik ten Hag situation. Erik ten Hag has clearly turned into Solskjaer. He's clearly turned into Ralph Rangnick, and basically doesn't want to change a team up that clearly needed changing from Wednesday. How we have seen a manager that has moaned and moaned and moaned and moaned and moaned about the lack of goals that his team have been suffering with. And he decides again to bunch his £90 million striker that he had all the faith and trust in. And all of a sudden, Højlund has been nowhere near first team football for the last 2 games in a row. And apparently he's trying to keep him fresh. I honestly think that is absolute bullshit. I clearly think there's something going on there. Because if Højlund's not getting first team football, there's got to be a sign of concern that has there been a bust up between the player and the manager. I'm not 100% sure, but that is a concern. If Højlund, your £90 million striker, has been on the bench for your last 2 games where you've been crying out for goals, how has Erik ten Hag allowed that decision to be made? And that is his decision that he's making himself, to be fair. Erik ten Hag has made that decision to bench his £90 million striker, where we've been lacking goals all season. He's moaned and complained about it, and he's got nowhere to hide there. He has shot himself massively in the foot. Rasmus needed a cane up front. He would have learned so much. Exactly. We needed an elite level striker. We needed an elite striker as well as Højlund. And I said to people, Højlund alone will not be enough. And push comes to shove. That has been proved today. When we've got no Højlund in this team and we've got no recognisable striker down the middle, are Man United going to score goals? No, they won't. But as soon as he came on, instant impact off the bench, gets a second goal to clinch the win for United. Again, this is why Erik ten Hag, again, has made clueless decisions in his team selection the last few games. How he can't change a team that won to improve that performance is laughable. You needed to not play Mctominay. You didn't need to start Casemiro at CDM. No, up centre-back, which, again, he did today. He's got Varane on the bench, Rashford on the bench, Højlund on the bench, Eriksen on the bench. I mean, he's got half his players coming back from injury, which is very funny, by the way, that all of a sudden all these players are coming back fit from injury. Well, they're fake injuries that we've been lied to about. It's funny now how he's got half this squad back, right? And now he doesn't want to use those players, which again is pure incompetence of this manager, where you should be playing a recognisable balanced back four and he's still using Casemiro next to Lisandro Martinez, and that was a positive, him starting. But again, the substitutions in the second half were a joke. You brought off Lisandro Martinez for Johnny Evans, and he brought off Bruno for Højlund. I mean, I can't believe again that Amrabat's played 90 minutes. I can't believe again Scott McTominay has played 90 fucking minutes. It's just absolutely ludicrous management from Erik ten Hag that we needed to keep Bruno on and bring McTominay off, get Amrabat off, get Casemiro back to CDM. Instead of bringing Johnny Evans on, get Varane back in next to Martinez and let them two play 90 minutes to see what they can do. I just don't think Erik ten Hag trusts his squad. And quite clearly, he's got every right not to, but clearly he should have recognised and learnt by now that if you're going to keep playing a team that's completely unbalanced in every single position, does he not think that is going to cost us? Does he not think he's going to learn from his own mistakes? And clearly, ten Hag is in denial. He's in complete and utter denial that if you're going to play players out of position, do you think they're going to make that position their own? No. Do you think they're going to make that position great for the whole game? No. You are going to completely unbalance the whole team because of players that are being played out of position. Casemiro is not a centre back. He's a bloody CDM. Like, what's going on? Like, really? Like, it makes you wonder. It makes you absolutely wonder. You've got Wan-Bissaka again at left back. I mean, how this guy gets 90 fucking minutes again is absolutely incredible. Like, if Lisandro Martinez was fit enough to play 60, 65 minutes, why did Erik ten Hag today not think, right, let's get Lisandro Martinez at left back, let's get Varane and Johnny Evans at centre back, keep Dalot at right back, get Casemiro back to CDM, drop McTominay, put Fernandes and Mainoo in front of Casemiro, then go with Højlund, Ahmad, and Garnacho front three. I can't understand why Erik ten Hag is too pussy or too afraid to change this up. There's clearly favouritism, or there's clearly something going on behind the scenes by certain players are not getting the game time. Certain players aren't getting given a chance under this manager. There must be, because it's absolutely ludicrous that this manager can decide, I'm not going to change a team up. And people say, well, he hasn't got the right to change a winning team up. He made one change from that Newcastle game. He made one change from the Newcastle game. And I think, for me, logically, that isn't enough for me to convince me that this manager is learning. This hasn't convinced me enough that this manager has got a clue what to do. I think lost all credibility. I think this manager has absolutely lost the plot in the last few weeks. And I would have changed things up today, because United needed to go for it. United should have gone out with a full attacking mentality to try and put a few goals past Brighton in the first half, put even more past them in the second half, and try and get a positive goal difference, because we've finished level on points with Newcastle, but our goal difference is shit. And because Newcastle have got like a plus 24 goal difference, it's no wonder again that Man United have finished level on points with a team that have got a better goal difference than us. This reminds me of that late Aguero winner where we won the Premier League at Sunderland when they were in the Prem, and then Aguero scored that late winner at the Etihad to win Man City their first ever Premier League title. I was devastated. I was crying. I was absolutely gutted we lost that title, because I honestly thought the way Man City kept slipping up, we were going to do it. But Roberto Mancini's men overcame it and got that Aguero late win. And look where Man City have gone from then. Leaps and bounds above Man United. Like they are Manchester's blue, I'm afraid. And then I've got to admit it, you've got to say it. Manchester is blue. Manchester City are the best team in Manchester, but they've still got those 115 charges against them, which is wrong, because that should have been dealt with by now. And Man City have been getting away with it every fucking time. I don't know how the Premier League, the Football League, or the Premier League, or the FIFA, or UEFA have allowed this to happen, because Man City are closing on Man United's Premier League title record. They're like 5 away from us, and they've won it 4 years in a row today. It shows the standards. It absolutely shows the standards of levels where these Premier League clubs can't compete. And I think it will be the same story next season, that Man City will win 5 in a row and Man United are going to be scraping the barrel. It's just massively, massively embarrassing that we've got a club like Manchester United who are just falling to pieces, and the cracks are being papered over. The excuses are being used every week. And Man United want to PR it because they don't know how to get themselves out of this mess. Well, a statement of intent would be nice. Like, give me some clarity on what is going to happen next season and what is going to turn this ship around, because we are sinking deeper and deeper than the Titanic here. We're an absolute shipwreck, and it is going to get worse. And the fans and supporters deserve a hell of a lot fucking better, because this is just not fair. This is unacceptable. This is crap. This is such a shit feeling right now that we aren't even in Europe. We're not even playing European football. I can't come into terms how shit that makes us sound. We are not going to be a European team. We are not going to be playing against Europe's best. It is absolutely fucking embarrassing, and I can't feel any sympathy, because Newcastle are in Europe next season. Congratulations to Newcastle and his Eddie Howe's team, his staff, his coaches, his players, the supporters, the fans of Newcastle. You absolutely deserve to be in Europe, and they've pinched us to it. When it became 3-2 at Brentford, I thought, you know what? Brentford on the comeback, they could get that late goal. But as soon as Newcastle scored the fourth, that was it. That was it for me. I thought, this is done anyway, isn't it? Let's be honest. And the truth reality, Man United deserve every bit of shit they get off the fans. They deserve every bit of shit they get off the supporters. And I'm not going to stand in their way. And Man United are going to get a lot of it. They're going to get a lot of it, because Man United now have got a mess that they're going to have to fix. And I don't know how this week's going to go now, because, oh my God, I can't quite come to terms how bad we've been and how shit this Premier League season's in. But we've got to try and pick ourselves up now. And the players are going to be feeling utterly shit right now. And I think the manager is as well. But if I was the manager, I wouldn't be sleeping tonight. I'd be thinking, do you know what? Fucking hell, I'm a dead man walking here. The final nail in the coffin. I might as well resign now. And Ten Hag might. We might see something spectacular happen before the end of the FA Cup final. Will he resign? Because I think a decision has got to be made on the manager's future. I think something has got to happen, and I think we all know after today this is it. This was the final nail in the coffin that if we don't get European football, Ten Hag ain't going to be here. I think we all know from so many results that United were basically trying to scrape the barrel again, and that is the standards. And for me, it's a season where I've got to reflect, a season where I've got to come to terms that we aren't going to be in Europe, but it's going to be my time to consider what I'm going to do, because as long as I've always been a Man United fan all my life, and since I was a boy, and it's heartbreaking to see a club like this on the decline. 11 years without the Premier League title, 7 managers in 11 years as well isn't good enough. 1 trophy in 7 years is unacceptable, and we are now having to somehow consider my future as a Man United fan. I think if Erik ten Hag is to stay on for one more season and he may be given one more chance to prove himself as United's manager, then great. But if anyone comes in like Southgate, Potter, then I'm afraid this is going to be it. I will still do my content, I'll still do my channel, and I'll still do every bit of content that's live, videos, shorts and streams. But you won't see Man United content from me again, because I just can't cope with this for another season of shit amateurish football from a bunch of losers who throw their toys out the pram with every opportunity they get. We've got a bunch of pre-Maradonas that aren't good enough. We've got players who act like spoilt little brats, who go out clubbing, go out drinking, go out partying to the late hours of the next morning. Everything at the moment is Man United for me. The love is dying. The support is dying. And like I said, if Southgate or Potter come in, I will no longer be supporting Man United Football Club, and I will go live and announce that. Yes, it's going to be upsetting. Yes, it's going to be heartbreaking, but I can't do this for another season. I can't keep doing this because it's just not fair. I suffer with anxiety. I suffer with mental health. I suffer with depression. I ain't going to sit there and let Man United make this worse, because it's not fair. My health and my anxiety has got to come first on all matters of any responsibility or love I've got for myself, because I can't stand Manchester United now. I'm on a decline with them. And I think for me, tonight again was one of the final nails in the coffin. I really wanted European football. And I know people are not going to jump about and scream and shout and get upset and get angry and get and shout and throw their toys out. But I wanted some kind of European football. But to not be in anything, I just don't know where I stand. I don't know. I think the FA Cup will be a telltale sign. But if we sack Erik ten Hag, they are going to have to get a new manager in quickly, because we have got a summer transfer window to fucking sort out. And maybe now they got on the phone to Thomas Tuchel or De Zerbi or Allegri. I don't know what's going to happen now. But tonight, Erik ten Hag is done. Our summer transfer window budget is going to be taking a massive hit because we aren't in Europe at all. And United, no European football in 10 years. If someone would have told me in season 2 that Man United would have no European football, another manager's on the verge of being sacked, and our summer transfer budget was going to be shit again, which is no surprise, I wouldn't have believed the first 2, but I would have believed this third one I said just then about the summer transfer window budget. The first 2 I wouldn't have believed you. The third one I would have. But as people say, thank God this season's over. Thank God the Premier League campaign is over. Thank God we have not got to talk about Man United and Premier League football again for the rest of this year until August now. That is where, well, you don't know where I'm going to be then by then. I might not be supporting the club. I might be moving on to pastures new. I don't know where I'm going to stand. The FA Cup will be telling, but we ain't winning that. We ain't winning that after today, because the confidence and morale is going to be on the floor. And I don't think people realise how much shit Man United are now going to get off everybody. And the banter, it deserved. The banter is massively deserved. But in the end, that brings down the curtain on this Premier League season, which has been a roller coaster. More roller coaster than Ronan Keating's song. More of a roller coaster than a hot couple on their wedding night in bed in a nice Premier Inn. It is embarrassing. And for me, it's just shit. It's just embarrassing. It's just, I can't believe this season. Like, if I just can't. I've even told my parents that, if they bring Southgate or Potter in, I'm done, because that ain't me. That ain't me. No thanks. And they might bring success. They might bring the glory back, but fuck being managed by those two bang average managers. They couldn't even manage Fulham. They wouldn't even get the Fulham job, Southgate or Graham Potter. But if it's De Zerbi or Tuchel, then I may stick around. I might not. But if it's Erik ten Hag, then you're going to have to go with it again. And we'll still do the United content. But everything is going to determine on what happens next weekend now, because the Premier League season finished. Brighton 0, Manchester United 2, match day 38. We're not in Europe. We aren't in Europa League. We're not in Europa Conference League. We're not even in the Champions League. We finished our lowest Premier League position ever in 8th. In 8th. That has never happened in Premier League history, English football history, and Premier League history. 3 records broken by Erik ten Hag and his players. No European football for the first time in 10 years, broken by Erik ten Hag. A lot of responsibility is with everyone. The manager, the players, the coaches, the management, the ownership, the board, the directors, everybody that works for that club behind the scenes. Everyone is to blame for this season. I've got no sympathy. And if people want to boycott and go and protest outside Old Trafford right now, I would go and do it and absolutely create riots, because that club don't deserve any sympathy. They deserve this shit and the crap they're going to get to after United's embarrassing decision that has been made after tonight's game. So we're going to leave it there. Hit the like button and the share button. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Share the video. Hit the tweet button, the retweet button, and to always remember that notification bell. If you put that bell on at all times, you will receive dedicated brand new content right throughout this year in 2024. We've got brand new Fortnite, EAFC, F1 24, EAFC 25, Rocket League, Call of Duty, Fall Guys. Brand new videos, brand new shorts, brand new live streams. And like I said, we've got the summer transfer window covered this year. Something new, something different from across Europe, the EFL and the Premier League. Once the football season comes to conclusion, and we'll be covering every bit of breaking news and transfer news coming across from every club. And the next talk through will be in the early hours of Wednesday morning for the FA Cup final against Man City, where, again, this is going to make or break everything. The FA Cup final next Saturday evening, Manchester City versus Manchester United. We'll be talked through that early hours of Wednesday morning. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your week. Stay safe. Be nice. Be kind to each other. You're all legends. You're all legendary. I'll see you on the next one. But Manchester United will not be in Europe next season. I repeat, Manchester United will not be in Europe next season.